John, well, thank you very much for coming. We're really honored to have you here at the VRBB, the VR Association of Berlin and Brandenburg, Germany's capital region. Thank you very much for coming.
It's my pleasure. I feel a bit like I'm in the last scene in 2001.
we all feel we are a bit in the future here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are in the Volumetric Studio, which is sort of one of the things that came out of this association. It's built by 5 member companies of our association. It's the first volumetric studio on European mainland. What do you think of virtual reality and these immersive technologies with respect to that technology, not only in the media and entertainment market?
Well, everyone is thinking where cinema will go and how to get cinema. Of course, is worldwide, and people love it because people love to see stories as sort of practice for life. So what someone said once, movies are real life with all the boring stuff taken out. And so I think VR is another step in that direction. But VR right now is an immersive technology that gives you more of an experience. And where the challenge that will need to be handled is how editing is done in VR. Because editing makes a story, because editing emulates what your brain does when it remembers something. Or often, like if I look at you, and I look at you, and I look far off into the distance, my eyes will focus immediately. So you won't need to, my brain will just skip the fact of the focus because it's such a nanosecond of focus, and my brain will go cut to that long shot, go back to the 2 shot, and it's sort of like how we remember. And I was thinking about this last night, is that our brain, we've designed our computer systems to emulate our brain patterns, right? And so what's happening now with VR is now we have this virtual reality. You can go in and it fools you to think, oh, I'm on a roller coaster. I can look everywhere. I can look up, I can look down, I can look everywhere. And that's usually what people do when they walk into a VR experience. They look around and they go like this. But as someone who makes films, what we do is we suck out all of that and say, just pay attention to this, right? And so the challenge will be how editing comes. But I think it's truly dynamic in that you can feel things in a different way, you can experience things, you can move around, certainly. But the challenge will be in how you sort of segment the entertainment so it rolls out in a natural way like a film does, and you're just overwhelmed by the music and the sound and the story, right? Now, as we get further into things with VR, one wonders whether you'll be able to do other senses like smell, touch, taste, anything. And really, as my son is fond of this book by Kurzweil, Man-Machine Interface, is that, as we become more, as instead of carrying cell phones, our cell phones are embedded into ourselves, then you wonder where will that go, right? Where will that go? In that, where will there be a way to emulate and actually jack in and have more of a sensory experience?
How do you see the media industry being able to go beyond media and entertainment and sort of utilize their experience and their expertise and their know-how and also their history in doing business through immersive technologies in other industries?
Well, I've been doing visual effects for 30, 40 years, and it's a very technological medium. So in some ways, there's a paradigm of looking at that overlay of technology and the story, try to get through to the story. And what I always get into is the simplest method is usually the best. So what we'll do, and I just did a thing at the Academy with actors and performance capture. And when I talked to actors, I said, the people in Avatar or Planet of the Apes, I said, is it any different acting for those movies than acting on stage or acting for a conventional film? And they said no, because their process is internal. Once they internalize the character, they ring true to that. But then what they said, but for you guys, it must be crazy. But, basically people in our business, we love the technology and we love the challenge of it all, but what we try to do is make it as simple as possible. So when someone comes on, they just say, you just make it say, over there is a mountain, the sun is over here, your friends are here, and that's the setup of the story. So I think the challenge will be is how to use the technology, but make it intuitive, right? And bring people into it so they can see it, but in their mind, we all have, that's a great gift for humans, is that we have this incredible mind that we can imagine. We have a movie studio and projection facility inside our brain, right? We see it every night when we dream, right? And so I think that if we could just make it clear as artists and technicians to the people that have to do the performance inside of it, because then you can do some really special stuff, you know, and things should feel natural, and that's really hard. And in computer graphics and visual effects, we've just gotten to that point now where I think things can really feel real, right? Like really real and natural. And the future, the studios of the future, I think, probably will be more virtual because it's just easier and to be frankly more cost effective to build a set virtually and store it than there is to build a set and construct it, dress it, shoot it, and strike it, because the stage costs money, right? And you have to move it out, you know. And then if someone says, well, you know, that didn't really work well, I want to come back and do it again, I want to do some reshoots on it, you know. But I used to work at Industrial Light and Magic, and we were fond of saving certain things that we would use and then reusing them and repurposing them. And I think that is another great function of the digital setup, because if you build a studio for one thing or a shader for one thing, you can use it again. And a good example is the Pseudopod Shader in the Abyss is the same shader pretty much that did the Chrome person in the Chrome T1000 in Terminator 2, right? And you do the same thing with sets, you do the same thing with other things. Good. And also a setup like this is really great because you could come in and say, I want to emulate light from, you know, any different set, or, you know, it's lit flat now, but to be able to re-emulate light from any type of lighting environment, I think is fantastic. And also to be able to say later, like, I need to go and put some more people in doing something, because films have a way of shooting and editing. And the film is made 3 times. It's made when it's written, it's made when it's shot, and it's made when it's edited, right? And in the editing, oftentimes, things that started to do this may end up doing this. And at that point you say, well, now I need a new person here, or I need some other people back here doing this. And I could see that this could be a tremendous thing for that, because with actors and whatnot, you could get them in for their schedule. They come in, they do it, they leave. In Blade Runner, I mean, we really consciously tried to, you know, movies today tend to be really cutty and really bang, 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 and lots of very fast action. And Blade Runner, we really, and this is Denis Villeneuve completely, it said, we want to rein everything back and calm everything down, you know, so it's not an assault on your senses. It's more of we're going to limit and say, this is what we want you to look at. This is what we want to look at, as opposed to where there's just so much and it's so busy you don't know what to look at. So I think that we pulled everything back, and I think we were better filmed for it.
Feels more like a piece of art instead of a typical sci-fi action movie. It's really like an art piece of art where everything comes together, the color palettes and everything. It's
that's because it was made by a true artist.
So before we release you from 2001 back to 2018 today, is there any advice you have for the VR players, the AR players here in this region?
I think, look, I used to live in Berlin, so you don't have to convince me that Berlin is a great place. It is a great place. It's wonderful. And I just think that when you look at a new technology, you have to take a look at movies were once new, and I was thinking about this last night, is that movies, from Méliès to the silent movies and the birth of Hollywood, all through, the growth of international cinema, and then it went from color, from black and white to color, and from silent to sound, and then from sound to widescreen, and then visual effects and surround sound. And you have to take a look at like the evolution of storytelling cinema. The evolution of cinema is storytelling. VR is a part of that. And so I think you have to just take a look at what are the stories of today, what are the stories of the people going through today, and take a look at the tools that are here to present them and present them in a new way. So, and to me, what technology usually does is let the technology drive the storytelling. I think that's completely wrong. I think storytelling should drive the technology and just say, okay, how can we tell this story that is meaningful to all of us as humans, but with this new technology to be able to tell it.
Right. Well, that's what we think we are, right? We are a bunch of storytellers using the newest technology, and this place, Studio Babelsberg, made history before in cinema making.
Absolutely.
We're here to make history, and thank you very much for coming. Super honored.
I appreciate it.
And
it's a pleasure.
Have a great day.
And I always love 2001.